got to be careful. You don't want to have a fall at my age. Anyway, I've come here to southern Spain. I pulled rank. I said to Jack, I'm going to do this car review. And he said to me, I do car reviews. It's huge up there. I said, no, this time I'm doing it. Let me do it, you swine. And so he's let me, I pulled rank. He was busy. He's got other things to do. And I've come all the way here, just outside Marbella and the Mediterranean over there, to see this. And I've got to tell you, I've driven it up here about 3/4 of an hour, driving it up the mountain roads, and I really, really like it. That is the brand new Megane, Renault Megane, and this is the Fully Charged Show.
Farnborough, Amsterdam, San Diego, Sydney. The world's #1 festival of clean energy and electric vehicles is coming to you. Whether it's Fully Charged Live Europe, supported by Mobility Service, or Fully Charged Live UK, supported by LV, we can't wait to see you there.
Well, I want to start by explaining how we got here. So the last, I think, like 10, 15 shows we've done from Europe, all over Europe, we've driven there in electric cars. So all over the Netherlands, Germany, France, we've driven there. This is the first time since, I guess, February of 2020, a long time ago, where I've actually flown down here specifically for one day to film this car. And we're kind of not going to do that anymore. You know, we're not flying around like I used to, really a lot, all over the world. South Korea, Japan, America, you know, all over Europe, and that just feels wrong now. But this time we got the chance to see this car early on, and I've kind of bit the bullet and done it. But Andy was already in France filming, Andy who's filming this, and he flew down yesterday from France to Spain. It's a difficult one. We're going to be talking about this for a long time. How often do we fly? What do we do about flying? You know, sometimes it's the only way we can do things. Anyway, it's enough about that. But I just wanted to make sure that was understood, that we did actually fly down here. But now to talk about this car, because I am really impressed with this. For starters, the Megane, there's only an electric version. This isn't, because that always makes me anxious. Oh, there's the plug-in hybrid and there's the diesel. No, there isn't. They're only making this a really big statement from Renault. It's only their second, if you think about it, pure electric from the ground up car. The Renault Zoe's been out for 10 years. They've sold 400 and something thousand of them in the last few years, and they've done a combined 6 billion miles of electric driving, which I think is really interesting. And of course, they now have a huge pool of data about how those cars are used, how the batteries have lasted, how the motors have lasted, what their economy is. They have a real lot of information that they've then used to build this car. Really different structure, the way it's designed, the way the wheels are right at the corners. It is bigger. So the driving experience in the Renault Megane is very, very pleasant. I'm currently going downhill. I'm trying not to use the brakes. I'm using the paddles with the regen to control my speed, because I am going a little bit over the speed limit then, so I'm now slowing down. But I'm really feeling it slow down now, and that is entirely down to the adjustable regen. Very simple to do. Your hands are in the driving position, you can, release it. So now it's just freewheeling. And obviously this kind of thing, in these circumstances, really helps your range. You're going to increase your range. Not that that is a problem. I mean, we've been driving this now for quite a long time. Still got 248 kilometers of range at 79%. So, it's not exactly chundering through it. It's very, very economic. So they've really put a lot of effort into making this car as light as possible. That's always the criticism of electric cars. They're too heavy, but they've really gone to town. So the motor, the electric motor, the inverter, the charging system, the gearbox, the heat pump, 145 kilograms. That is really remarkable. That is lighter than a combustion engine, clutch, gearbox, transmission system. You know, so they've actually developed part of the car and is lighter and much, much smaller, and that all sits in the front of the car. The battery is liquid cooled and heated, and that heat comes from the motor. There's no separate heating system or a heating element that saps energy. It's using the excess heat from the motor. It takes that heat, puts it in the batteries if needs be. The heat pump, which will also operate from heat from the motor, can also cool the battery. So what is remarkable is for someone from the UK driving in Spain at this time of year, where the external temperature is around 24, 25 degrees, which is bonkers in February. Oh my God. The screen is in portrait mode, sort of. So yeah, it is in portrait mode, which I really like. That somehow suits the way the layout is. There's some really simple, intuitive things to use. Everything about this is it's as intuitive as a smartphone. Really, really simple to use. So much better than manufacturers' built infotainment systems. This is really good. This isn't just all right. This is really good. It's very much like the Polestar. That's what it really reminds me of. The Polestar use exactly the same system. And it's so obvious. All manufacturers should do that. Don't try and be clever. I've got to press continue. Don't try and be clever and develop your own system, because it will be out of date in 6 months. This updates itself. It's just like your phone. So that is brilliant. So the other interesting thing, of course, is that Renault and Nissan are in league together. They're a sort of partnership, and the Nissan Ariya, which I've only sat in, and it was beautiful, which felt bigger than this car. Anyway, they're using the same platform. It's called the CMF EV platform. I don't know what that means. That's one of the things I'm going to have to ask Jack. But so the Nissan Ariya will use the same drivetrain as this. It's a front-wheel drive only. At the moment, there was some discussion about that last night when we were talking to the engineers from Renault about whether they might do it. They could make it a four-wheel drive. It's fine as a front-wheel drive. There are two battery variations. You can have the 40 kilowatt hour or the 60 kilowatt hour. This one has the 60 kilowatt hour. The 40 kilowatt hour has 130 horsepower, effectively electric motor, and this one, the 60 kilowatt, has a 220 horsepower motor. Really small motor, really light, completely new design, an 8-pole motor. I'm not going to pretend I know what that means, but all I know is it's smaller and lighter and more powerful than previous electric motors. It's a big change. The range is about 186 miles for the 40 kilowatt hour and about 292 for this, is what they're saying. That's the WLTP range. From driving it today, I can see it's not going to be far off. This is going to be a 270 to 285 without trouble range car. It's going to be good. Not like super sporty, because it's not meant to be, but 7.4 seconds 0 to 60, faster than most combustion cars. It's got Android Auto inside. It's got Google. Basically, it's a Google car. Google Maps, brilliant. It's Google Maps. They kind of know how to do maps. So all that stuff, I think, is really impressive. I'm so pleased all the information they're doing, which I'll talk about later on, about the way Renault are dealing with batteries, the batteries from the Renault Zoe, because they really understand and they've really focused on the battery technology. But as for the design of this car, I'm not going to be anywhere near as good describing this as Jack Scarlett. I'm not going to try. But I like it. It doesn't offend me, because it is quite a big, hefty car, but it doesn't feel like a big, heavy SUV, particularly to drive. It feels like quite a small, compact car. It's probably fractionally bigger than the ID3, and in a way the Volkswagen ID3 is its main competitor. This is going to be, you're going to have a real difficult choice between the ID3 and this. They're both really competent cars. I think I would say the ID3 is a bit smaller, but not much. I love the wheels, 20-inch wheels, really nice. Little charge port there, which because I was looking for the charge port on the Renault badge, which is the same as the Zoe. It's not, it's at the side here, which is fine. And I quite like now, having driven lots of electric cars, having a charge point nearer the front than the back. Makes more sense in many ways. The battery pack, which we now understand, the battery pack has a lovely bit of sound insulation between the battery pack, which is really part of the structure of the chassis, between that and the passenger compartment. That is a really quiet car to drive. It's really good. One of the things that is a little bit confusing, if you have the keys in your pocket as you walk up, the doors open, which is, standard, but if you have the keys in the car and you're kind of going, I don't know how to get in, so you have to push that in. I found that that took me, I don't want to say how long that took me to work out. So normally, if you've got the keys in your pocket, it opens like that and you just open the door. What else about it? The back door is very similar to the Renault Zoe. You kind of look, well, there's no handle. How do you open it? Well, it's there. And as soon as you do it once, you don't forget about it. So I think it looks cool. I quite like the colour. There's nothing about it that offends me. I don't know what to say in terms of stuff that offends me, but I think all in all, it's a really impressive car. And the fact that Renault is saying that we're going to make our second electric car, it's going to be much, much better than the first one we made. We're not going to do a diesel or plug-in hybrid version. That is a massive plus in my mind. And they really understand the whole life cycle of the entire car, but in particular the batteries. So at their main factory where they're making these and the Zoes, they've already got a battery recycling plant. They either repackage them to as static storage, or they recycle them and extract the materials. They're on the case with that whole circular economy, which we have to do. I think the key thing I want to say about this car is what is really apparent is Renault have used their experience with the Zoe, 400,000 cars. They know how people use them, they know how often they get charged, they know how long the batteries last. There is a Renault Zoe on the road now that has done a million kilometres on its original battery pack and motor. 1 million kilometres. They are very busy developing systems to use those batteries in second life applications, static storage in buildings, etc. Storage for high-speed chargers. This is all stuff that we've covered a little bit on Fully Charged Show, but we will definitely cover more because it's going to become a really big thing. They just understand how humans and batteries and electric motors work together. That is the kind of key thing. It's not just the fact that it's all about the technology, it's how people use them. So one of the reasons I was worried about the fact there's going to be a diesel or a hybrid version of this car is that it kind of looks like the old Megane, and that made me nervous. But actually it's like a refresh, a reiteration of the brand, if you like. So there's nothing like startlingly, brutally new about it. It's very polite, I think. But one or two confusing things now. There's been a few cars, Mercedes, I know, where you press the badge on the back and it opens it. And I was doing that and I felt a bit of an idiot because there's a tiny little button there. And you press that, it's very small, then you put your hand there and it does fit, it doesn't look like it's going to. That I found a bit weird, and also you know that particularly where I live, that's going to get filthy, so you know that's a bit of a downer. Never mind, I'm being finicky, but it's a big boot space, 440 litres, and if you put all the seats down, it's much bigger. Yeah, it gets bigger. I don't know how big it is. It'll be over 1,000 litres of space. There's a lot of space. Could you get a washing machine in here? Yes, you could. I'm going to say that now, unless it's a big top-loading American Whirlpool washing machine, in which case you need a truck. So the back of it is lovely. I'm impressed with that. We put all our kit in there and there was plenty more room, so that's really not a problem. It's not this, they don't have automatic closing and all that, but it's all very good. That's the back. So a few things about the interior, and I mean this is stuff that is very esoteric and kind of leaves me a little bit, you know, mystified, but that there is real wood. That's real wood. It doesn't really, I mean I wouldn't know if it wasn't real wood, but it is real wood. These seats in this particular model are actual leather with titanium stitching. Very smart. But obviously there are, you know, there's vegan leather and there's cloth seats as well that you can get for the, so you don't have to have leather. I've got to say the seats are extremely comfortable. Another interesting aspect of this car is the lighting, the interior lighting, and it's kind of hard to see it in bright sunshine, but the lighting changes throughout the day and it's very aware of the time of the day and the height of the sun. So the sort of background lighting, the LED strips that are around here, the look of the dash changes. the look of the sort of external around the map on the screen here, that is subtly changing all the time, which is kind of cool because you don't even notice it. You don't have to do anything, but that changes. And obviously at night it's very different and depends on your mood. So that the look of this, the dash in front of me, has actually changed since I got in this morning. But I can't really tell. It's not like a massive punch you in the face change. It's very subtle. It's very French. It's very subtle. It is very gentle. It is not aggressive. So there's a few modes. It's called, there's a button on the steering wheel that says multi-sense. Didn't immediately make sense to me what that was, but we're in eco mode at the moment, which I must admit I find very easy to drive. It's not too violent, the acceleration, the braking isn't too violent. It's all very manageable. But I will when I'm on a slightly straighter road, I'll put it into sport. I've had a go with it, and it's noticeably more aggressive in sport. And then comfort is the other setting. I don't even know what that is because that feels the same as eco, but I guess it just uses a bit more power, I'm supposing. But certainly the eco mode, which is what it seems to be when you turn it on, it's kind of hinting that that's probably the best mode to use. So as you can tell, the road noise, the sound in the cabin, really, really well engineered. Very, very quiet car to drive. Very pleasant to drive. I drove up in the mountains just now. I drove with the windows open and I could hear tiny little birds up in the trees twittling away really easily when the only sound really is your tyres on the road. So from that point of view they've done it really well. An interesting fact, they've managed to get the battery pack down to 11 centimetres thick, which is about 4 inches, which is remarkable because if you think of not just the battery cells inside, but the packaging that goes with it, they've really slimmed it down, which means the seats are much lower than in many electric cars, which have quite a big, chunky battery pack under them. 11 centimetres is good, plus all the insulation they've put on it. They've done a very good job with that. Now, if you are considering buying an electric car in the next couple of years, and I just want to underline here that I'm not being paid by any company, by any PR company or Renault, definitely not, to say this. I just want to say, add this car to your list. That is the reason I'm saying that is because I'm really impressed with this. I came here with an absolute blank slate mind. I had no idea very little information I had about this car before we got here. And the more I've learnt about it and the more I've driven it, the more impressed I am. So that's why I'm saying it. I'm not saying it because I want to be nice to Renault, and they're all lovely people. It's nothing to do with that. It's to do with the actual experience of driving it, and I think that's an important caveat. Well, after a lovely, relaxing drive up the mountain, we're really high up here. That's an old monastery behind us, which is where we had our lunch, which was delightful. I just want to quickly thank Renault for bringing us out here. They flew us out here, they put us in a hotel last night, and theoretically we were going to fly back now. We were going to drive to the airport and fly back. The flight has been cancelled because of this enormous storm that's just hit the UK. Our aeroplane can't take off from the UK and come and get us, so we're stuck here. And in the grand scheme of things, I will admit right now, there are a lot worse places to be stuck. So I'm quite happy about it. We've had to cancel all the things we were going to do tomorrow, but what the hell. We'll get back eventually. Real kind of final summation of this car is it is a step beyond. This is a really good sign that this is a real proper, really exciting new electric car. It's on a par with the ID3 and the ID4 because it's built as an electric car, but it's a Renault, it's different. Really good fuel efficiency, really good weight. The way it drives, it's all good. I'm trying to think of the door handles, a bit annoying first time you use them. That's about it, and even then they're not that bad. There's not really a fault that I can find yet. I've only driven it for a couple of hours. I think it's really worth having a think about. It's a really, really nice car. That's all. I just want to say, please do subscribe to the Fully Charged Show. We really want to get to 1 million subscribers. It really makes a difference to us. Even if you can subscribe to us and never watch it again. That's fine. But the subscription really makes a difference. There's a link to our Patreon page beneath here. There's all the information about our live shows that are coming up. which are in Farnborough at this end of April, beginning of May, and in Amsterdam in the middle of May, and in San Diego in September, and of course in Sydney, Australia in March 2023. Just thought I'd mention those. All that information is on the fullycharged.show webpage, and that's about it. As always, if you have been, thank you for watching. Hey Google, turn on the air conditioning.
Got it. Turning on the aircon.
I'm in love.
Well, thank you very much for watching that episode. Robert's just offset having his daily rub down, so while he's doing that, allow me to ask you to watch this episode down here. It's very similar to the one you watched. This episode is our most recent. Here is a link to subscribe to the channel, and this is a link to our Patreon. Bye!